Hello, happy believers. In Philippians chapter 4, verse 6, it says, "Don't worry about anything. Instead, pray about everything. Tell God what you need and thank Him for all He has done." We hear it said over and over again that there is power in prayer. Jesus also showed us the importance of gratitude and thanksgiving preceding prayer requests. Here we're going to look at the power of intercessory prayer, how God hears it, considers it, and has shown us in the past how it can move God to change His mind. People love to hear prayers that have been answered. There is a huge collection of amazing prayers that were answered in the Bible. Not only has prayer the power to change a person or a person's life, but also to change the course of history itself, as we will see here. In Exodus chapter 2, verses 23 to 24, God hears the cry of the Israelites. After a long time, the king of Egypt died. The Israelites groaned and cried out under the burden of slavery, and their cry for deliverance from bondage ascended to God. So God heard their groaning, and He remembered His covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. God saw the Israelites and took notice. After that, God would oversee His people's freedom through Moses, answering their prayer. In Exodus chapter 32, verses 7 to 14, Moses was up Mount Sinai, while the Israelites were camping at the base of the mountain, waiting for him to return. The Lord said to Moses, "Hurry up and go back down, because your people whom you led out of Egypt have sinned and rejected me. They have already left the way that I commanded them to follow. They have made a bull calf out of melted gold and have worshipped it and offered sacrifices to it. They are saying that this is their God who led them out of Egypt. I know how stubborn these people are. Now, don't try to stop me. I am angry with them, and I am going to destroy them. Then I will make you and your descendants into a great nation." But Moses pleaded with the Lord, his God, and said, "Lord, why should you be so angry with your people, whom you rescued from Egypt with great might and power? Why should the Egyptians be able to say that you led your people out of Egypt, planning to kill them in the mountains and destroy them completely? Stop being angry, change your mind, and do not bring this disaster on your people. Remember your servants, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Remember the solemn promise you made to them, to give them as many descendants as there are stars in the sky, and to give their descendants all that land you promised would be their possession forever." So the Lord changed His mind and did not bring on His people the disaster He had threatened. God answered Moses' intercessory prayer. God changed His mind about the disaster He had planned for the Israelites. They were saved by Moses' prayer. They would enter into the promised land after all. 2 Kings chapter 20, verses 1 to 6. King Hezekiah, his prayer. About this time, King Hezekiah became sick and almost died. The prophet son of Amos went to see him and said to him, "The Lord tells me you are to put everything in order because you will not recover. Get ready to die." Hezekiah turned his face into the wall and prayed, "Remember, Lord, that I have served you faithfully and loyally, and that I have always tried to do what you wanted me to." And he began to cry bitterly. Isaiah left the king, but before he had passed through the central courtyard of the palace, the Lord told him to go back to Hezekiah, ruler of the Lord's people, and say to him, "I, the Lord, the God of your ancestor David, have heard your prayer and seen your tears. I will heal you, and in 3 days you will go to the temple. I will let you live 15 years longer. I will rescue you and this city, Jerusalem, from the emperor Assyria. I will defend this city for the sake of my own honour and because of the promise I made to my servant David." Amos chapter 7 verses 1 to 6. I had a vision from the sovereign Lord. In it, I saw him create a swarm of locusts just after the king's share of the hay had been cut and the grass was starting to grow again. In my vision, I saw the locusts eat up every green thing in the land. And then I said, "Sovereign Lord, forgive your people. How can they survive? They are so small and weak." The Lord changed his mind and said, "What you saw will not take place." I had another vision from the sovereign Lord. In it I saw him preparing to punish his people with fire. The fire burned up the great ocean under the earth and started to burn up the land. Then I said, "Stop, O sovereign Lord. How can your people survive? They are so small and weak." The Lord changed his mind again and said, "This will not take place either." Then in Jonah, in chapter 4, verse 2, says, "I knew that you are a loving and merciful God, always patient, always kind, and always ready to change your mind and not punish." Jeremiah chapter 26, verse 13. "You must change the way you are living and the things you are doing, and must obey the Lord your God. If you do, he will change his mind about the destruction that he said he would bring on you." 2 Samuel 16. When the Lord's angel was about to destroy Jerusalem, the Lord changed his mind about punishing the people and said to the angel who was killing them, "Stop, that's enough." Luke chapter 1, verse 13. Zechariah's miracle. But the angel said to him, "Don't be afraid, Zechariah. God has heard your prayer, and your wife Elizabeth will bear a son." Mary's prayer, the Magnificat, in Luke chapter 1 verses 46 to 55, is a prayer of joy, thanks and praise. She sings when she visits her cousin Elizabeth. It also tells of the past and future, saying how his mercy extends to those who fear him, from generation to generation. My soul magnifies the Lord, and my spirit rejoices in God my Saviour, for he has looked with favour on the humble state of his servant, and now all generations will call me blessed. For the Mighty One has done great things for me. Holy is his name. His mercy extends to those who fear him from generation to generation. He has performed mighty deeds with his arm. He has scattered those who are proud in the thoughts of their hearts. He has brought down rulers from their thrones, but has exalted the humble. He has filled the hungry with good things, but has sent the rich away empty. He has helped his servant Israel, remembering to be merciful, as he promised to our fathers, to Abraham and his descendants forever. The purpose of the scriptures here are to show the power of prayer and how God can be persuaded to be merciful on a generation and shift a course of direction. I just wonder, is it time again to ask God to intercede and to be merciful to us, to help us, as it is very obvious the world is heading in the wrong direction very fast. Our intercessory prayer needs to be for conversion and peace. Maybe if enough of us pray in sincerity, God will hear our cry and change his mind about where we are heading. Please like, subscribe and share so we can all live our wonderful Catholic faith in all its richness together. Thank you. Next painting, very, very soon. Watch this space. Until then, remember, there is power in prayer.